Welcome back, 2025, hooray. We survived somehow last year. So, let's see. We're streaming tonight, in a sense. We've every month we've tried to improve. We had the camera, and then we had the microphones, and now we've got a capture card, so what's on the screen, and it's all going to end up on YouTube. So that's kind of exciting. Let me just quickly run you through. Normally, there's a health and safety announcement. I'm not entirely sure the details. I might grab Rowan quickly because he knows the details. Rowan, was there an HR, like health and safety announcement?
Yes. Very nonchalant that.
Just the emergency exits, basically, either through this door, out the front, or also out that side, not out the back. That's it, I think.
Excellent. Thank you, Rowan. Yeah, good. Okay, welcome everyone. January 2025, our first Webflow meetup for the year. Tonight we're planning to, I'm going to do a couple of quick announcements on some things Webflowish. And then our keynote this evening is James from Relume, all the way from Australia. It's a big effort just for us. And then if there's some time, there's a recent Webflow build that should be live now, but it's not quite live. But there's some interesting things around components and localization that would be nice to demonstrate. And then optionally at the end, downstairs in the basement, there's an incredible bar with arcade machines, and they might even have some tokens for us. So yeah, go down there for a few drinks. Right. So first up, there's welcome. Just to give you a sense of some of the past events, we've got actually you might spot a face up here. James and his partner in crime, Dan, from Relume. That was at Webflow conference last October. And actually...
That was a blurry...
Yeah. My slides are a little bit out of order, but that's all right. The Webflow community. So, this is what we're trying to set up here with these meetups. Sometimes we've had 20, 30 people along. It's January. People are in hibernation this month, I guess. But yeah, it's not just about coming along and receiving information, but connecting with each other, potentially people looking for freelancers, agencies. If you've got a problem with your Webflow build, we can share the pain together and help solve some of these problems. And you might want to contribute as well. So, in fact, there may be a prize for people that do presentations this year, but I'll show you later. Like I'm wearing a prize, a Webflow jersey, so I was awarded a runner-up in the Global Leader thing last year. So, Isabel won, and they took her over to New York and put her face on a big screen in Times Square. Which is nice. Maybe me next year. So Webflow conference. We've got a couple more familiar faces here, including Vlad, the Commander-in-Chief. He doesn't like me calling him Commander-in-Chief. He was the CEO, and now he's the Chief Innovation Guru, something like that. And a taste of what the conference was like. We've got the CTO, the famous Maguire, educator, and so I didn't mind that presentation. A whole mixture of presentations. Who else was at the conference? Yeah, a few. What was some of the highlights? Yeah, what was your best moment? I should have the other microphone. Oh, there it is. Anyone?
Jomo's presentation was clearly...
Whose presentation?
Jomo's?
Yes. Yeah, what was it on? Oh, yeah, no, that was all the animation stuff. Yeah, it was spectacular.
It was a film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he launched into like a big pep talk and
Yes.
all that. Yeah, it was spectacular. So if you get a chance, link in the description. Maybe I'll I'll post to his presentation. It was fantastic. Anyway, so yeah, I haven't seen you guys since then because of a few hiccups. And Jimmy ran the last couple of meetups. In fact, Jimmy is absent at the moment. Yeah, come on in. Yeah. And yeah, the other thing that we did was RetroFlow. Just watch you don't knock that one over, the camera tripod. Do you want to try and, can you move forward, Ben?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for coming. Yeah. Yeah, this is downstairs in the basement. We've got Dan from Make Build with Linda Tong, the new CEO of Webflow, killing zombies, which is pretty awesome. There's Jimmy here, and this was one of my favourite moments. I don't know if I can. Does that work to? Oh, that doesn't. How do you play a clip? Another time. That should play. Yeah. Anyway, that was me beating Vlad in Outrun, which was a pretty special moment. But in fact, I'm going to compile a little video at some point of some highlights of RetroFlow. And that was with Claudia and Isabel. We put that together. I normally like to cover some Webflow news, but I haven't had a chance to prepare too much. I'll cover something in my little presentation. But as you guys know, tomorrow we've got, is it tomorrow, the new pricing for workspaces, switching to a seat-based model. Has anyone worked out what they're going to be paying in a day or two? Enough. So I can show, like, yeah, it's confusing to say the least. Like, we had this old pricing model that was very difficult to explain to clients. And now it's slightly more difficult. It's a tough one. And you know, James maybe can speak about Relume and the way they've come up with their pricing model. It's a lot simpler, but maybe it's not offering so many different things. But yeah, maybe Webflow could learn from Relume with the pricing. But I think our agent.
Did say you'd sell to us, so I'm pretty keen to see what that would look like.
Yeah. In fact, they're using, I think someone shared recently, they're using a third-party service to do their pricing. And I'm not sure if it's a great advertisement for that third-party service. Anyway, right, so let's not waste any time. We've got a hard stop at 8. So we've got sort of 55 minutes. So if we get James set up now, if you want to grab a drink while we're just getting plugged in, then please do. Otherwise, yeah. Hopefully that will come on. There we go. Before, maybe you're going to ask this question, but who here uses Relume? Couple, a few people. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so yeah, you're going to hear a lot more about it, but it's from going from a set of wireframing components for Figma to a pretty incredible end-to-end kind of solution. It's impressive stuff. And James is sales director, is that right? Yeah. International sales director now.
Depends who you ask. The title just grows.
Based in London, but from Sydney, which is great because I'm from Brisbane and Sydney and Brisbane hate each other. But we're Australians, so we...
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. First and foremost Australians,
okay.
Then we hate each other. Okay.
Welcome, James.
Thank you very much. All right, cool. Well, he's really thrown me off with the show of hands who uses Relume, so I'm going to have to start from the second phase. Look, it's very kind of you to invite me here today, Chris. When we got invited as, obviously, Relume, we were really interested to get involved with the Webflow community. As you all know, we are quite heavily inducted into that Webflow side of things. We, once upon a time, as an agency, actually started off as a Webflow agency. So everything that we do at Relume, we essentially are building for the trials, the tribulations, the annoying nuances that get to come with working in a design agency. So everything that you guys go through on a day-to-day basis, we went through, we've been through, and we now build for. So the whole process and premise behind Relume is we would love to take the arduous, mundane tasks out of what you guys have to do, get you to 80% as quickly as possible so you essentially can build faster. Building faster, more projects, more profit. And that's realistically where we want to get you guys. Who's essentially actively utilizing Relume at the moment?
Use the sitemap.
Amazing. Has anybody utilized, is anyone part of the beta program thus far for the Style Guide Builder? No? Okay, cool. So I'll be able to show you something that's pretty cool that we're about to come out with into our active plans as of hopefully a couple of days. Don't quote me on it. And if this gets back to Dan or Adam, no, I didn't. Or Slater. And cool. So look, realistically, what I want to do today is essentially take you guys through a best practice of utilizing Relume. Okay, how we tend or would use Relume to date. With the new Style Guide Builder, it will cut out a lot of the exporting functionality that we've had to go through in the past. So I won't cover off what you would have had to have done to get it into Figma, as this is really going to change what that looks like moving forward. Does everyone design at the moment in Figma? Got you. Awesome. I'm sure everyone loves their pricing strategy as well. So there's two ways to start a project. So typically with Relume, the number one way that everyone knows is to go in and just start a new project, right? This is going to allow us to prompt the tool with a new website build for our sitemap. So here you can see a very, very simple prompt, right? I've used a couple of sentences. I'm going to go in and use 1 to 5 pages to make it really, really simple to nail down that sitemap. And that is going to push into our AI model and generate a sitemap in real time for us. The number 2 method that a lot of people actually don't know typically exists is you can actually import an existing website to create a sitemap. What that's going to do is it's going to scrape that entire website and generate you a starting place. So a sitemap from that website. It'll also take the existing information in there and help plug into our model to build and inform the copy. So if there is a website that a client currently has that they would like to essentially improve upon, in real time, we can just essentially scrape all the relevant data out of that website, plug it into this model, push to a new sitemap, push to new wireframes. So those are the 2 models that we can essentially follow. I'll take you through the most common, right? We'll generate a new sitemap, and just because there's a small group of us, it's probably easy, a bit more interactive here. What would be the most common way you guys, if you're not using a tool like Relume, what's the most common way we're typically building out our sitemaps when we're working with our clients?
Notion.
Cool.
Figma.
Yeah, Figma.
Figma.
And when you guys are doing those processes, how much is the client actually playing a part in that? Like, are you guys locking down the scope with the client with that project? Like, how far does that actually go?
Yeah, it fits within discovery. So it comes after a lot of our data and insights work that we're doing. And they feed back in terms of commenting, and they are heavily involved.
Got you. And does anybody not actually create a sitemap when they're in the initial stages of development?
Factor that more into the deal stage of stuff.
You guys factor that more into the deal day?
Yeah.
Yep. So you've pitched to the client, you now you've kind of got it to that.
Sort the numbers, sort it out, like at least in the rough agreement before we actually kickstart the project in terms of pages, time contractility, and components involved.
Cool. So the reason why we think this process, the sitemap, is so incredibly important is, number one, to lock down project scope. So we are agreeing with our clients that this is what we're going to be building for. Sorry, I did not generate the empty pages. So we're going to lock down with our clients. This is exactly what we're building for, right? We want to make sure that everything inside this sitemap, everybody's on board with, everyone's across. So we can keep this project essentially on the rails and not have our timelines blow out. If we can all agree on this as a sitemap, and again, you can customize this, you can make relevant changes that you like, you can ask AI to regenerate different pages. regenerate the whole thing if you're not happy. But we want to lock down this with our clients in the simplest way before we push to our wireframe, so these timelines don't blow out. Having said that, when we come through and start utilizing the sitemap, you guys can start adding in whatever you like. So if I come to the About Us function and I want to add in a section, and I want to put in a founder section, right? I want somebody to come in here and essentially I want AI to come in here and utilize what our founders are. So write up an amazing review of our founders, Adam and Slater. Give Dan an average one. Perfect. So now I can essentially put this anywhere, right? Now I can move this to any point that I want. I can take my comments for when we're collaborating within a team and add it to certain sections. Oh. Right. Now, when Dan comes in and inevitably fires me, he can look at this in real time. Now, for collaborating with our clients at this stage, we can actually go and share this project. Can comment, can view, can access. So we'll take this link, send that through to them, and then they can actually come in these sections and start adding in comments in certain sections. Hey, really happy with this. Can we move the team section to below the benefit section? I think it flows better. Or look, really, really enjoying the flow. I would like the blog posts to be a bit more segmented. Again, we can start dragging these different options, replacing these items. It's realistically down to whatever you guys would like to see in this process. Once we have complete buy-in with our clients, awesome, let's push to our wireframe. Now, this next stage for us as an agency was really important. So why we wanted to generate a sitemap directly into a wireframe was, number one, we really wanted to inform copy and content. Now, we found that when we weren't informing copy and content, clients would actually drip feed us information over a period of time. So it wouldn't just be a case of, hey guys, wireframes are looking great. We just need your content now and your copy, and we can push from there and start designing. It'd be a case of, here's a basic wireframe. What are your thoughts? They go, yep, cool. And then they'd start feeding us through that copy over time. And we're not talking about a couple of days. As we all know, it could be weeks. In some stages, months. For every day that goes on, it's more time you're spending on a project that could have realistically been done a lot sooner. Again, time feeding into profits, which is killing our process to build on more projects. So when we come in here, you're going to see that the AI content has essentially driven itself. Off the basic prompts, it's come in, you can see what it's written in these different stages. And if there's anything that we're not enjoying, if there's specific components or there is specific buttons that we don't like, we can trade this out.
Cool.
I don't like this. This just doesn't really fit in the flow that I'm going for. Let's come in here. And what's really cool about this replacing components section is the AI knows the design flow in which we're trying to achieve. So as you can see, 2 and 3 are missing because they wouldn't fit in this process. It knows that don't suggest that component because that component is not relevant here. So it's going to suggest you all the relevant components to choose from. I like component number 11. Perfect. The copy now looks a bit strange based off that component. I'm going to go through and regenerate the copy to fit within that component. In real time, we can go through and regenerate anything. We can ask, excuse me, we can ask AI to come in and regenerate any part of that sitemap that we saw previously, which is obviously going to inform the copy. And we can still come in here and add in new sections. So if you want to add in another section, you can just add in anything at this point. So you've added in a careers page, an about us, whatever you do here, again, will inform the copy. It will add that to the existing wireframe and push to that next stage.
James, quick question.
Yeah.
If you override some of the AI generated content, can you sort of lock it from being overridden by the AI again?
In what respect? Like when you're saying you're going to override?
Yeah, I don't know. Just say you wanted to tweak some of the copy in there with your own words. Is there a risk that the AI will update it?
So the cool thing about this is you can actually segment the areas of copy that you would like to update. So if you want to lock down a specific piece of copy, you can go in and make the relevant change in that singular component, and then you can start generating or regenerating components and copy for those specific components outside of the things that you've changed.
How do you do the segmenting?
So if you go through and change something, and then you want to go and change like another component, this component's finished, I can come in here and start regenerating copy or make changes to that copy in this section. So it would be like a componentry based change.
Yeah. Okay.
Does anybody else have any questions around this process that we've just gone through? Right. Quite simple. And then the next step is to, again, I'm lucky Dan, is to share that with clients to make sure that everybody's happy before we go and progress. So we can copy this link, people can access, comment. We want to make sure that this is a collaborative process before we go and start the big task of build, right? Once everybody's happy, once everybody's locked in, we can then export to, once upon a time, what would have been Figma at this stage, or Webflow, or now you can obviously export out into React as well. This next stage is the style guide builder, which is really, really cool. And this is something we've been working on for quite some time now. And we're pretty stoked that we should be releasing this relatively soon. This is still in the beta function. And those with Relume accounts, more than happy to add you into this beta at the end. What I'm going to do is I'll show you the basics of what we can do here, and then I'll take you into something that I've been playing with a little bit more. So as you can see, here is our concept for our new website. It's taken our sitemap, it's pushed it into a wireframe, it's informed the copy, and now it's trying to get us to this beginning of the design phase. So where once upon a time you would have copied Relume's UI kit into Figma and started that process, now you can actually start that process from here. Why I really love this is it's going to save a hell of an amount of time when you actually have to copy this across, which is the bane to my existence, even in a demo. But two is, if you don't have anything to start with, you guys can come in here and essentially ask AI to surprise you based off what it's already learned. So we can come in here. I don't like that. Bit better. But we can start mapping out specific colors that we like. So we can search. We can search for specific codes, or we can come in here and make any changes. So if I like a specific color, or the company has a specific color that goes with their logo and or brand, we can come in here and lock down color. I really don't want to get cooked for a color, but this is random. So we can lock that down, and then we can start shuffling different color palettes around that existing color. Now you can do that for more than one color. So if you want to come in and start locking down other colors in this process, he loves it. That guy there, he loves it. Where you can start locking that down. And as you can see, we start to get more of a collaborative design palette in there. Start.
Just open one of the color blocks again.
Yeah.
I actually think that shades thing on the left is very, very, very cool. Because generally when you go into a project, you need to expand their color palette sometimes, depending on the brand you have. So I personally find quite a lot of value in that. That's really cool.
That's awesome. That's really...
That's more of a just feedback.
Yeah, for sure, mate. Love that feedback.
Not a question, but...
I know, keep going, mate. What else do you love? Yeah, so as you can see, you can start filtering through. Obviously, we can upload our logos and our assets in here, right? The next step, once we're happy there, is we can start going into that typography. Again, it has suggested certain typography off the back of the design. So I'm going to come in here and see what recommendations we can get here. If you like, what's that, sorry?
Is it mainly Google fonts?
It's just at the moment. When we release into version 1, you'll see quite a list of different fonts there.
Option to upload our own license fonts? Our own license fonts or trial fonts? Please?
I'm not sure which fonts we're about to release, to be completely honest with you. I will have to check back with the team to see, because the last time I looked, there was a variety of different options that we were looking at.
It's just, I'm sure this is in the roadmap already, but if not, an option to upload our own TTF files would be amazing.
Cool. Yeah, for sure. I'll definitely pass that on to the team. And once you like certain fonts or colors, it will add that into its learning, so it knows you like those fonts and suggest those in the future. So I can like this. I can get recommendations off the back of that. Right. I've really liked a dud, but that's okay. Let's rock and roll with this, and we're going to lock down that font, and we're going to shuffle until we find a body text that I'm happy with. Right, we can create more than one concept. We can start creating multiple concepts. So when we get to that ideation phase to send it through to our clients, we can share 3 separate concepts and get their feedback on their most favored design plan. And then from here, we will be able to export to Figma and Webflow.
Interesting.
Where are the images from?
So these are just part of the stock images that I'm utilizing. I'm just uploading them. What have I done? In version 1, you'll be able to shuffle through images that are, I believe they're AI images, but I'll double check for you. And but obviously you can upload your own images as well as cards, buttons, and forms. UI elements will be in that version 1 release.
So when we get to export these concepts, is it just an option to share the concepts like a read-only file, or do we get to export these to Figma?
You will get to export these to Figma.
Okay, and when we do that, the text styles, the type scales, and the color styles, are they all going to be brought into Figma as well?
They should do, yeah.
Will you be demoing this?
Not right now. That they'd probably kill me for, but
It's coming soon.
that's what we're extremely close. So these are coming very, very soon.
And the Webflow export?
Yeah, same
Same.
process. We're working on that Figma and Webflow export.
Yeah.
And then obviously, as you can see there, the next is React, which will be coming soon after.
When you share with the client, what do they see? And can they comment?
Yeah, so they can comment. If I'm going to share these concepts, always have multiple tabs. If I'm going to share these concepts, this is what your client's going to see. They're going to be able to leave comments in here. Obviously, you can make the relevant changes, and then they can click in and see the mobile version and desktop version.
And they can navigate through the full sitemap?
Correct.
Wild.
No tablet.
And not yet. Maybe
No one wants to see tablet anyway.
maybe version 2.
Mobile landscape.
He says as he puts his iPad away. So yeah, look, those are some of the really, really exciting things that we have coming up. You may have seen the export to React functionality. You'll start to see us build out more and more components both ways. We have this, I'm not sure if you guys know, but we have a day specifically at Relume called Component Day. And it's where we release new components. And us as a team in Sydney, not anymore me, sad, we'd all go and celebrate because it was a really, really big win for the team. And why it was a big win for the team is because we knew that we were continuing to stay ahead of the curve, innovate, and make sure that you guys have the best new components to work with for your designs.
And James, those components that you release each month, that's a sort of nomination sort of process from the community to some extent?
So we continuously are running off the back of the feedback that the community gives to us on what they like to see, what they want to see next.
Yeah.
And that actually goes straight back to our development team. And whatever, as you guys can imagine, like any product anywhere, whatever gets requested more consistently is more hotly utilized in that roadmap. So if somebody continuously asks for a specific type of design component, obviously our team visits that sooner than others. So,
and is that feedback mostly through your Slack workspace?
Slack workspace, if you have any of, you can also email through to myself, like we take, or to support, we take these things quite seriously, because again, we know what it's like. We were an agency first and foremost. So like that's where we were born out of. The whole purpose of Relume is to solve for you guys.
I actually use Nav2, it's like my go-to.
Yeah? How good. Love that.
That's my base component for a nav bar.
That's awesome.
I can't stand building nav bars.
Mate, I love it. But that's essentially how the style guide will be built. The final thing I will show you guys is Camden Garden Centre. You're getting a shout out. I don't know where you guys are. You were chosen at complete, not a random. So I can just go through, and the second part of this process, I'll breeze through this for you guys. This is just importing an existing sitemap. So we have an existing website. We can go through, we can take that, and it's going to, again, scrape through that whole website and give us the most relevant information for that sitemap.
It's cool that it shows you this, which URLs it's reading as well.
Yeah.
Just a nice visual cue.
100%. Like it gets to the end stage, and it just brings through the most relevant information. So it's really, really cool if you want to show a client. And I have been working with a lot of clients in this space to show that using Relume in that pitch process can be quite powerful as well, because you're really showing that ideation process in real time, and they feel like they're a part of that. So when they have an existing website and you can show, hey, this is realistically what your sitemap looks like right now, and you can also layer that, so you can almost copy another sitemap down below and start showing the comparison between the two if you want to start pitching within it. It's really, really cool. But as a baseline, we're taking old websites in this way and just bringing them into the 21st century. No offense, Camden.
At the moment as well, when there's there's a lot of work around migration.
Yeah.
Namely from WordPress, but as well from places like Craft, CMS, Contentful, whatever. Lots of our clients come from other platforms, so this is super helpful. Which is why we use the sitemap feature.
Yeah, 100%. Again, that's awesome feedback.
That was actually a thing.
No one, that's a thing. No, like honestly, like I'm so surprised.
Make that more visible.
That so it's literally on it's new project or import. Like I think it's just because it says import. No one.
Oh, see, I thought import was not that.
What did you think it was?
Well, it's not import URL.
I think maybe if we were to change that to import URL, do you reckon that would be?
100%.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I mainly use Relume for inspirational components, and then copying. You probably use like 5 generally, but it's the sitemap feature that is our most used, because it is during that discovery phase. Once we've done like a week of data insight, we go into the sitemap and we say like, okay, we've done all of this insight, and we prompt the AI on that, and then we get the sitemap out, and it saves a week of just fanning around. That's the feedback that we love to hear. Again, that's what we're trying to do. Now I know that you can take URLs.
James, you could put a little, as well as import URL, like a little Hoover or vacuum cleaner icon that it's there.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
From a file.
That's it. Maybe we'll do a partnership with Dyson,
sort.
get a free vacuum.
Yeah.
Cool. As you guys can see, it's gone through, and it's whatever gardening CLUD sign up is, it's taken it. And it's gone through and it's taken the relevant information from each page. So realistically, in whatever that took, like a minute, 2 minutes, it's taken their actual sitemap and pushed it into Relume. And if you, again, during this ideation process, if you want to show a client how quickly you can take that, plug it into relevant components, and start building a bit more content in this century. You can immediately send that through to a wireframe, and it's going to use all that information, obviously plug into our AI functionality and start generating the content for them.
What's great as well is you can charge the same amount of money. Because you've still done this.
And-
Importing the sitemap, because you have discretion on like which pages you want to keep and which pages you want to get rid of.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's it. Like you can go into that site, and again, guys, that's the amazing piece of that sitemap. People think, okay, it's generated the sitemap. This is a sitemap we're working with. You can literally go back and make so many changes inside here. So if we want, we can go in and ask AI to regenerate a singular page, to edit the sitemap prompt for this page, generate a new sitemap, generate a new page, delete, duplicate. The customization level in the sitemap stage is truly completely up to you guys. And
generally, we read the whole thing from like a migration. We'll go, well, you can save a lot of time not having to write content for these pages, and we can push your SEO somewhere else. And then use this to like regenerate different pages and the structure of those pages, and then take off like 2 or 3 pages and bring in the components from that to like spread across other pages. It is, yeah.
Think about
Big fan.
that. This is a random idea, and I don't know, like, this is based off a pain point I had very recently. We had a partial migration.
Yeah.
So we had our old website and new website, and some of the pages were going to go to the new one, and we're going to set up redirects to the old one.
Yep.
So if there's any kind of logic that you can factor in to kind of like know what your imported sitemap was and what your final new sitemap is, and maybe have like a CSV function for the redirects, because I know FinSuite has a tool to set up redirects on Webflow. So maybe that's a possible workflow that you can explore, because I know there's going to be a lot of people who kind of work with partial migrations when they want to build a couple of pages on Webflow, but like still send traffic out to like their old domain or like something like that. So maybe something around redirects might be, I don't know, just based off pain point I have.
No, 100%, mate. Like again, all this feedback is amazing. It goes straight back to our product team, and these are the things that get requested.
When I was looking online for solutions, I couldn't really find any, like, actually scalable solutions. So if Relume could, capitalize it,
Amazing. Yeah, I mean, again, all this stuff gets taken straight back to the team. So we'll definitely pass on that feedback.
James, can you show us just before when you created that sitemap? I'm conscious that it's nice to be able to see like where we were, and then have some options similar to what you did before with the other generator. That's completely possible with this.
Yeah, so if you come in here and you want to make relevant changes to a specific section, again, the same process. You just come in and you click into the section. You can also color code these guys to make it easier for clients. Hey, the components or the areas of that sitemap that are in question are going to be in blue and green. Take a look at those ones first. The other ones aren't as relevant.
Or like CMS
Yep.
sections as well.
And then in the bottom left there, you've got primary sitemap. That allows you to, so you could preserve the original and then create another.
Spot on. So that's what I was saying before. If you guys wanted to use that in that pitch process, you guys could create a sitemap underneath that and show them, hey, this is what your sitemap currently looks like. We've just imported it. This is your basic process. We're going to start playing around with the sitemap below it, and we're going to show you the difference between the two. And we're going to take the best of both worlds, and we're going to push that into a wireframe.
Oh, see, I didn't know it had that in the bottom. Because I always take it to Figma and then do it in there, rather than do it in later.
You can also just copy it. Honestly, you can literally just you can copy the whole thing and then paste it down here as well.
Just question from a more like, obviously it started as a Webflow thing. It's now you can use across React. Why client first as the framework?
I honestly don't know that answer. I'm sorry.
Probably was the first one that was around.
Yeah.
I believe from what I've been told. Again, I can't talk to it too much. But I believe it was what was being utilized at that point in time when they started building out the components.
So it's obviously because things have expanded since then. So if I take a component from the Relume library, I'll take the general idea of it and then strip the whole thing and then put it in a framework that we work with.
Okay.
Which still works. Like,
Yeah.
we take the functionality, it's great. But it was just a general.
I completely agree there. Like my only point of friction there is undoing all the client first bits and like making it a more lean layer framework.
Feature 406.
What like in a perfect world, where would you, like if it wasn't client first, what would you like to see it be?
I think that's a chicken and egg question at the moment, because there are 3 heavily utilized frameworks.
Got you.
In client first, Mast, Lumos, and it really, to be honest, they're all level of developer. You know, Lumos is probably the most advanced. Mast is here. Client first is probably your most like entry level to Webflow. So yeah, I guess it's probably a bit of a chicken and egg at the moment.
Got you.
So maybe a toggle you can choose.
Yeah.
I think it depends on the developer as well. Like, you know, if you've got the foresight to be like, okay, well, Relume gives me the base, but then I can strip it back, put it in the framework that we're using, and it works, then I suppose it doesn't really matter.
No, 100%. Look, obviously, as somebody in sales, that I'd love to tell you that it will, you know, take your dog for a walk and wash your car and do all the things that you would love it to do as well. And I'm happy to promise them, but then Slater might kill me.
That's more of a niggle.
No, 100%. Like, and I think when I look at these things, and especially from my point of view, when I look at them and I'm like, oh, that sounds simple. Like we should go back to Adzi and Slater and like, not yet, not right now.
No, say if you've got 300 million Webflow websites, there's all built on very, very different systems. You pick the best.
No, 100%. So yeah, look, realistically, that's where we're super excited by. And then again, I'll 100%. Obviously, I'll take all this feedback, go straight back to our team. So, which I'll be so stoked to hear. But that's right now, I guess, minus the export to Figma and Webflow, because realistically, that's about to change. So I won't bore you with what that looks like, because it's kind of a thing of the past. That's the Relume process, and that's how we helping you guys build.
Can I ask one thing? Just before sorry.
Oh, but they started clapping.
So sorry. Just because I'm involved much more on the strategic side, on like that primary conversation in workshops with clients, and I know so often you will have 1 or 2 key stakeholders they're just not participating.
Mm-hmm.
What's version control here? Just because sometimes you get input, you will redo the sitemap accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly a key stakeholder that wasn't in is jumping in on the call, and you're like, well, I can't show you the previous version that easily. How can we go back, especially with like AI generated stuff? Is
For sure. So
the bottom bit of like adding an additional, making sure we get loads and loads of copies.
In that strategy side of things, I would probably recommend for each process just to copy exactly what you have here, and then come down here and just, because there's no limit on the amount of sitemaps you can add in this section. And it's realistically, when you're ready to go, you can just go through and delete. You can just delete that stage from that sitemap. So you'll actually be able to see, hey, this is what we came back to you guys with version 1. You asked us to change this. Here's version 2, version 3, version 4. And stakeholders that want to chime in at the 11th hour, you can be like, look, unfortunately, this is what we agreed on with scope. This is what's within scope. Happy to talk about now what's outside of scope, but that's a new project. So we're going to have to discuss terms. Honestly, 100%. Because but a lot of clients think that, well, we've agreed, and look, now it's just until the umpteenth degree. It's not. Like, you know, this is the sitemap, this is the scope that we've agreed on. We're keeping this project on the rails. Anything outside of this is now new terms.
You can name the different versions, right, other than primary sitemap, like renaming it to something like V1, V2 on January, February.
It's a great question. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And I just figured that out with you.
A bit like doing like how you use the version in Figma. You just do different page. You're like V1, add your sections, add your pages inside. Then you add a V2, then V3, ready for dev, etc. Final capital letters. Final. Yeah, that's cool. I also didn't realize that was a thing.
Yeah, look, there's so many cool little features in there that a lot of people don't know. It's look, honestly, a cool thing about what I've come to know in my role is it's an awesome education process. So many people are using the tool and they don't quite know its fullest functionality. So I really enjoyed being like, because I had to go and learn all these things. And I was like, oh, that's sick. It does. And when I first found out the import function, I sat with Dan. I'm like, so you can just import a whole website? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, mate, you like, I don't even see that. Like, what do you?
You need
I'm
to
gonna
do it
use that
videos.
tomorrow.
Yeah. And that to me, I was like, that blew my, like, that's huge. He's like, yeah,
Dude,
like it's
that
good.
was, like, that would have saved me half an hour on a call if I knew that was there.
Mate, well, I'll be sure to give Dan a bit of stick tomorrow in our call.
It's as simple, probably as simple. I mean, obviously, it has to go through an entire product process, but as just changing the text to be like.
No, I think import URL is probably more spot on there, to be honest.
Obviously, you need to write a user story for it and then decide on whether to
Sorry, I might have missed this detail, but like when you input the sitemap over, does it scrape like all the text as well, like the pronunciation and everything?
Yeah, so it'll scrape all the different pages, all the relevant steps in that website.
That's a good question actually as well. Is when it brings over to Webflow or Figma, does it take typography hierarchy? So from an SEO standpoint, obviously you have one H1 on a page, a H2, and then everything is a hierarchy underneath, or scattered underneath. Does it take it in that way, or does it just kind of?
Yeah, I'm actually not sure. I'm sorry. I'll have
That would be an interesting thing
to ask the team and get back to you.
Retain as much SEO juice as possible.
Yeah.
When you put it the website, like even if we can add more metadata, like the SEO title, SEO descriptions and stuff.
Definitely.
Some metadata.
Because I
Or
would.
even SEO suggestions.
Yeah.
When you do the sitemap, or actually at the wireframe stage.
Yep.
And like, what are the best SEO
Yeah.
practices or SEO titles? I know that there's a whole process
Yeah.
like that, but to an extent, I'm not saying.
No, for sure. No,
Full hrefs like into it. But
Definitely.
It's not canonical UK.
Yeah.
Else, is it?
There's like, to what extent does it cover SEO?
Yeah,
that's
got you.
Is like because obviously there's going to be a vast variety of ICP that you guys have, from people that are just starting, freelancers, to enterprise level agencies.
Yeah.
I could hazard a guess that the people who are sort of on the more starter end are going in without that thought of SEO hierarchy, best practice for launch.
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff would be another added thing towards getting to that 80% potentially. Like,
Yeah, no, 100%. Totally agree.
It can even be a new tab, so you have sitemap, wireframe, SEO,
Yep.
product
Ah.
content,
Interesting.
and then style guide.
A lot of people who come to us, like I see myself using this feature a lot when it comes to migrations, and they're pretty worried about keeping the SEO rankings as much as they can.
Yeah.
So like all that metadata, that sure is a technical way for you to like scrape all that metadata off the same feature basically.
Yeah, it's
Definitely.
just on the most basic level, like
Yeah.
titles.
Nice.
Message
Maybe a
descriptions,
GPT
stuff like
bot.
that.
Guys, it sounds
No,
like we're
mate.
going to have James back again.
When version 1 gets released,
But he's
Welcome to London.
sticking
Yeah.
around. So if you stick around after tonight, you can fire some more questions at him
definitely.
over a beer downstairs.
Oh,
But yeah, put your hands together. Thank you very much, James.
no problems. Thank you very much for having me.
Amazing. So we need to wrap up in about 10 minutes. So which is kind of good in a way, because my presentation is not very well prepared. It's more of a short demo of a few features of a recent project, and that you might find interesting.
Is
Hopefully.
this the one you were talking about in the WhatsApp chat?
That's right. Yeah, coincidentally. Now, I would like to be able to put on the screen here the live website. It should have been live, to be honest, maybe before the end of the year. And now we're at the end of January, and it's still on this webflow.io. Jimmy kindly helped with this massively. Jimmy, if you're watching on the live stream, I hope you're enjoying your beach time in Thailand. Jimmy's should be back in.
6 months.
I think he said March. But
Now I
and-
know why he was asking about doing SVG paths.
yeah, so
Did Jimmy do the corners?
possibly. In fact, I think it's on. It could be. Oh yeah, thank you. There we go. Yeah, I'm not very good with the mics. I'm going to get. I don't know if you've seen on YouTube. I should have got a stick, and then I could have passed it. Yeah, is that what people use? A spatula or like an arm from a?
What's it that influencers have now is like the tiny microphones.
Yeah.
Where they're like,
Yeah.
oh,
Like a little hand on a stick. Anyway, okay, so hopefully you can hear me okay. Yep, excellent. There are some funny rounded corners somewhere on the site that do render a bit strangely in some devices. But yeah, we'll come across them for sure. But yeah, I mean, we've got a nice little Lottie here. On modern M-based Macs, smooth, buttery smooth. Even like Core i7 type Intel things, it was terrible and would slow down the machine, and you'd hear the machine about to explode after leaving it on the display. and actually, there's I don't know if you've seen this. I'm not going to dig into it, or will I? But there's an SVG. There's a render mode for Lotties, and you switch it from one to the other, and it just came to light. It just started working.
That
Although
was a very clean component build.
yeah. So anyway, it's nice.
Good job.
So the interesting things here are we've got two languages. Now, who here has done localization in Webflow? You guys have, okay. And you live to tell the tale. So
Not with Japanese, no.
yeah, there's a reason why we waited. We didn't do it a year ago. We waited. And we didn't do it for many projects. We often do it with WordPress, where content will be very different from each locale. The selection of case studies, the imagery, even like some of the font sizes, all sorts of things will change from locale to locale. This site, the sitemap was identical in English and German. The copy identical apart from the translation. So we thought this was a good use case, and it mostly was. And I'll show you where we started to trip up. One thing that's interesting, well, a little bit of a frustration. So I'm switching to, this is the German version. I can only do this on the site with the add-on. If I copy this site, if I make a duplicate of it, which I've done for this demonstration, I would really like to be able to switch locales, but I can't in the front end, in the published site, unless I pay Webflow more money to test a problem that might be their fault, which seems a bit ridiculous. It de-incentivizes them to fix a problem in a way. I don't know. But in this copy that I've got open, I can still switch languages in the designer. So that's at least something. But I'm not able to. If I click on this link here, you'll see it will 404. It can't get to that translated page. So that was one of the gotchas that I wasn't really expecting. It's not the end of the world in a way, but it's a bit of a pain. Some of the other fun things we did, we've got, I'm in the marketer role at the moment, or build mode actually. So do you guys know about these new roles? So historically, if you had access to this designer, you had this powerful designer mode that you could go through and destroy the website. And now you can limit users to this build mode so they can do a little bit less destruction. And in this case, the client has a team of about 4 in their marketing team, and they want to be able to change content on these pages, and they want to be able to do this, which is incredible. It's taken us this long, but we can just go create new page and select the template and hit create, and it's all set up ready to rock and roll. And then we can just click into our component. So that's disabled while we're in German language, so I'll switch back to English. English is the default language. That's another gotcha. You really have to think about what your default language is. We set this up as English because we're sort of narrow-minded English, even though the client's German, and we've made their default English. It probably would have been better to make it German because they're the people that are going to be using it. But next time.
Can you change that in hindsight?
I started looking at it. No one's complained at this point. I did look into it briefly, and I think I think it's a support ticket with Webflow.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you can't change it after. That's weird.
I thought you could.
I did wonder.
Is it? I'd have to go into design mode and then down here into localization. Well, the add-on's not installed on this one, but yeah, primary. You'd think if I was on the site with the add-on, I don't really want to go onto the live site during a demonstration. I have a habit of leaving, and particularly this client, like a full stop, everything. They have several teams of lawyers that go through every change, so I don't want to mess up the live site. No. So, okay. Look, we're short on time. I just wanted to show you another gotcha that is a real pain. So we're on build mode. Yeah. So we can start finding components like some sort of hero that we can just drag into the page slot. This is great. We've got lots of nice properties over here. We've got some fun. This one's got a variant, large image, small image. I think it needs an image in there to work. That's a new feature. I'm going to switch to...
That's a variable mode, isn't it?
Yeah, but we found it couldn't do everything we needed. So, for example, this component here, we've got 3 different sort of colorways for it, and we use a style selector. Now you see here we've got these buttons. That's right, yeah. So that's a Jimmy trick, which I didn't know. So as long as you've got the Lumos extension in, it will add these buttons.
You have to add a lot of CSS
to make that work. Yeah, every time. Yep. But I actually worked out. Jimmy was away, and I needed to update one of them. And I was like, oh, how does this work? And I was going to read the documentation, but you know, and I found their attribute and read it up, and yeah, it wasn't too hard to work out. So that's kind of cool. Now,
it's simple, but the custom code embeds is just a horrible thing to search through.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah.
issue.
So this is where we stumbled though. This component here, for example, there's several of them. Note, it's got a component slot, okay, with a component inside it. So that one's not too bad, but we've got some more complex ones. This one here, that's one that we've fixed. That's why it's got new written in there. Maybe, yeah, these expanding cards, that has a bunch of sort of nested components inside it, right? Each with their own properties. If they weren't nested, and you couldn't order them, there would just be so many component properties, right? So just to remind you what that one does, that is this this component here, right? So we've got, like, if everything was a property, you'd have like 100 properties on that one component, so that's nested. It works nicely, or does it? So what we found is every so often we'll get this panic call from the client. They're on, say, the DE site, and they've scrolled down, and they're like, say on that one, and they're like, oh, that accordion, everything's disappeared, or just vanished. They switched to the English one, it was still there, but the German one just vanished. And hunting around, I mean, I would get various responses from users, Webflow community saying, oh yeah, the localization's buggy. That doesn't necessarily help. We're at the tail end of a build. And then I started noticing a pattern where we would use component slots. And yeah, sure enough, as content would disappear, basically you'd switch to, say, the DE version, and you'd look at it, and all the overrides here would be blank. And then finally we started, so this one here called Stacking Cards New, that used to be component slots with sub-nested components, and now it's just a whole bunch of properties on the master. That one's stuck. Ever since we got rid of the component slot, the localization sticks and doesn't mysteriously vanish. And I've thankfully, Webflow support are now recognizing this issue. They've got a team working on it. They were hoping to have it fixed so that I could do a nicer demonstration and not mention this evening. But they were in touch with me yesterday saying, oh, look, it's not ready yet, but soon. Yeah. So our workaround has been, so this is an earlier copy. We don't have any component slots on the real version of the site. We've either added more properties to the parent component, or we've put a collection wrapper in there for the complex ones and set up a collection for it. And yeah, touch wood, we'll get sign off shortly, and we'll be able to go live. So yeah, they're the main things. We've run out of time because of the hard stop. I'll just make sure that there isn't anything else in our bit to cover. Next meetup in February, I haven't set a date. It's normally the last Wednesday of the month. We're thinking of potentially adjusting. Wednesdays, I think, are pretty good for most people. Yeah, Thursdays are the new Fridays, so everyone's going out or got other plans. But maybe it needs to be earlier in the month because we've got some clashes with structure. So we'll see. I'll keep you posted. And if you haven't already, scan our WhatsApp group. There's a couple of WhatsApp groups around. This one's for London, so for you guys. And it's a gradually growing community. So that's it, guys. So yeah, thank you very much. So like and subscribe on the YouTube, and all the viewers at home do the same. Smash that bell. Okay. Thank you very much.